To Dharma Talks. We selected the theme. I think everybody's aware of it. We are selecting the theme for this conference of Zen practice through challenging times. So it seems very appropriate to me. What do you think? You know, it's. I think we are facing some very large challenges right now. And so I want to talk a little bit about just setting the stage for what we're going to be talking about this week. And so I have a few comments I'd like to make up front. And what we're going to do with each Dharma talk is we're going to keep the tradition of opening Dharma verse and closing Dharma verse. And so let's do the opening Dharma verse. If you're familiar, please join in. If you're not, we did make that available in one of the handouts that we included. So let's begin with the Dharma opening verse. The unsurpassed, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rarely met with, even in 100,000 million kalpas. Now we can see and hear it, accept and maintain it. May we unfold the meaning of the Tathagata's truth. Wonderful. Thank you for the assistance. For the Dharma opening verse. There's been a lot of work come together to make this program available via Zoom this week. So we're all very excited about it. And I think we'll get better each day and more smooth. And so I'm, again, looking very much forward to that. So during the next 5 days, we are coming together. We're grounded in our Zen meditation practice, and we are listening to a variety of Sangha voices. They're offering perspectives and wisdom on how, as Zen practitioners, we skillfully navigate these challenging times. We will be offering perspectives from 12 different Dharma talks throughout the retreat, and include a 5-panel discussion on Sunday morning at the end of the conference. So we wanted to have a nice blend of practice, where we are grounding ourselves, where we are settling ourselves, where we are practicing together in our traditional way, but also we wanted to hear from everyone. We want to share our stories and share our insights. So this very much is what we have ahead of us. So let me start with, I don't feel like I needed to remind you guys at all that we are in extremely challenging times. It's very apparent to all of us. We are experiencing a historic pandemic, health crisis, that has taken many lives and has erased livelihoods, crippled our economy, separating us from each other, with no end in sight and no unified plan or leadership to address it. We are also witnessing a renewed surge of injustice, intolerance, prejudice, self-centeredness on the basis of race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, and the underprivileged. And so often, as we know, this virus, COVID-19, affects those communities the most. And, remember, climate crisis is the biggest gorilla in the room. It is threatening our very survival and the survival of everything that depends on this planet. We are reflecting prejudice, self-interest, over the earth. Rather than seeing deeply into our interdependence with the earth, we see ourselves as entitled and separate from our world. This is compounded with a lack of moral national leadership. This leadership, which is unmoored from the truth, unable to address the issues we are facing. We are seeing a nation deeply divided and getting more polarized. Adding to this anxiety is the uncertainty of a national election that is just around the corner. So what did I leave out? I'm sure I left out many things. There is so much for us to do. There's so much for us to take care of. These are very unsettling, confusing, and uncertain times. These issues are affecting each one of us in our society, in our lives. None of us, I don't think, have ever experienced anything like this. So the common issue that I see exacerbating all of these challenges is rampant, deep-seated self-centeredness. We are being blinded by short-sighted self-interest. So let me take a step back for a moment. And so the question is, how do we move forward? What guidance can we take from our Buddhist tradition? You know, the Buddha talked about our addiction to self-centeredness. This was his central teaching. He taught about suffering and its cause, and the three poisons of greed, hate, and delusion. You know, greed is when I want to covet something. You know, I want to grasp it. I want it. Hate is just the opposite. We want to reject it, push it away, push it away. And delusion is the general mental state of self-absorption. So greed, hate, and delusion, they amazingly resonate in these times. And this is the very foundation of our self-centeredness. This greed, hate, and delusion on various levels. We see it in our Zazen practice. You know, objects keep arising in our Zazen, and it's fascinating. What are we doing with them? What are we? Are we attracted to this, so we're following this chain of thought? Are we rejecting this, but that encourages to keep coming back more and more? And so we're looking at a microcosm in our Zazen, but this is being played out on the big screen in life, in reality, all around us. So let me remind everyone that just this past week, we observed the autumn equinox, one of my favorite times of year. This is the time that, as Buddhists, we call Ohigan. This is a wonderful image for balance for all of us. You know, letting go of these extremes of greed, hate, delusion. But this is on a planetary scale. You know, if you're not familiar with Ohigan, let's take a moment and just reflect on it. You know, it comes twice each year, in the spring and in the fall. It is when the sun's rays are pointed directly, the direct rays of the sun are coming right to the equator. So we have day and night roughly of equal length. We have the solar radiation affecting the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere equally. You know, and so the weather is moderated. It's not as extreme as the heat of the summer, and it's not as cold as the extreme of the winter. So there's moderation. We're coming to a more of a balanced situation. So the strong image of moderation and balance is a great image that our forefathers in Japan first made sort of a national holiday. Emperor Shomu back in the 8th century, in an effort to promote Buddhism and Buddha's wisdom, he had both of these dates instilled as holiday, and everybody would use this image of balance, and we would reaffirm this balance in our own lives. It would encourage us to return to balance through our meditation practice and in behaving properly, which I'll get to in a moment. So just a little bit of what Ohigan is, a little bit of the background. I do have a short paragraph that I want to read you that is sentiment from Matsuoka Roshi. Matsuoka Roshi was obviously Japanese. He grew up in this culture of celebrating Ohigan every year. And pretty much every sect of Buddhism, not just Zen, honors this time of year. So here's what Matsuoka Roshi said back in a talk he gave back in the 60s. He said, throughout Japan, this is a time of year for the observance of Ohigan. Ohigan is the Japanese Buddhist holy day, which is held in the spring and the fall. It is said that at these times the weather is best for crossing over from the shore of this world to the shore of enlightenment. On Ohigan, we renew our determination to enter into the enlightened world, and we especially, by following the 6 paramitas, or spiritual virtues of charity, perseverance, diligence, patience, meditation, and wisdom. They are also called the 6 noble deeds of Zen. On Ohigan, we especially think of our intention to live enlightened lives in imitation of the historical Buddha. Then we can see at things as they really are. We can see through the illusion of this world and enter the world of enlightenment. So I really like this paragraph a lot. I use it a lot when we're celebrating and reflecting on Ohigan. My favorite line in this passage is Matsuoka Roshi says, "It is at these times the weather is best for crossing over from the shore of this world, or the shore of delusion, the shore of greed, hate, and delusion, to the shore of enlightenment." So I just, I usually, I like to say that it's like we're getting a weather report. And okay, now's a good time for us to make renewed effort on our path. And so I think what we can take from this is that when we are cultivating balance in our lives, when we are showing balance to our fellows, our fellow practitioners, our fellow being, showing balance, this is when we are in the best position to wake up to our true nature. So I think this is a wonderful image that Matsuoka Roshi captures very nicely here. So Ohigan literally means gathering at the other shore. So we are letting go of greed, hate, and delusion and waking up on the other shore, or going to the other shore of our true nature, innate nature. Buddha taught that to cross from this shore of ignorance and suffering to the other shore of enlightenment, awakening to our true inherent nature. So Ohigan is cultivating this innate balance within ourselves. It is this imbalance within ourselves, this grasping at imbalance that is causing our confusion. It's causing us to not see who we really are. So letting go of imbalance of the three poisons of greed, hate, and delusion, reestablishing balance in our lives, and allowing our innate wisdom to manifest. So Ohigan and the Buddha teaches us that when we cultivate balance in our lives, we are in the best position to awaken to our true nature, to help ourselves and to help all beings. So Ohigan, understand the connection now. The paramitas, which I will talk about in a moment, were the 6 virtues that Masaoka Roshi mentioned a moment ago. Ohigan is just observing the paramitas, because Ohigan and Ohigan in Japanese and paramita in Sanskrit both mean other shore gathering. So we're going to the other shore. So when we first started to celebrate Ohigan many centuries ago, it was an inspiration of Buddha's teaching about the precepts and about the paramitas, and how important they are, the 6 paramitas. And so I want to mention them to you and talk just a moment about them. So the 6 paramitas, or spiritual virtues for cultivating balance and letting go of self-centeredness, are the following. And of course, these are core principles. These are our core Buddhist principles. First of all, cultivating generosity. All of these have to do with cultivating. You know, nothing is grasping or achieving. These are things that we need to work on in our practice. But cultivating generosity, you know, sharing whatever we have freely. You know, since we are all interdependent, we all are one. How is it possible that we can hold back and be stingy and not help all beings? Helping all beings is one of our bodhisattva ideals. Number 2 is perseverance. You know, we need determination. We need continual practice. We need to continually make effort. We may not want to get up and sit on the cushion this morning. Continue to make effort and keep working on diligent effort and effective effort. The next one is diligence. So diligence is like cultivating right view. What is the right view to have about the way things are, reality? And now that we're cultivating the right view, we should let our behavior mirror our intentions. Number 4 is patience. Being patient, you know, being humble. Patience also has to do with tolerance and endurance. So to be patient, to try to understand each other is one example. You know, not jumping to conclusion and being judgmental right away, you know, but being patient to clearly understand what's going on and to see what is happening. Number 5 is our meditation. You know, meditation, we say, is the foundation of our practice. It helps us deal with what are we doing with every day with what's coming up in our attention. Are we grasping it? Are we rejecting it? Can we just be with it? This is the beauty of our meditation. You know, so samadhi, seeing clearly and continuing to clarify ourselves. This is what we are cultivating through our meditation. And then the 6th one is called wisdom. So this, I like to say it this way. I like to think of the paramitas as a 5-petaled flower. And each of the petals are the 5 paramitas that I've mentioned, because they cover a tremendously rounded perspective on how we need to cultivate our true nature. And wisdom, I like to think of as the center of the flower. So it is the heart of the flower. And this wisdom is what is coming forth as we are cultivating these other 5 paramitas. This is our innate wisdom. It's not something we have to cultivate. It's not something we have to grasp. It's already here. We need to let go of our delusions and just allow the flower to bloom. And remember that from the heart, this is where the fruit of the flower comes from. And so this is where the fruit of our awakening and our deepening understanding comes from. So the 6 paramitas are a guidepost during these times, should be, that helps us go from our self-centered delusions and see more clearly. The Buddha said that we must be a light unto ourselves. When he was dying, he told all of his students, be a light unto yourselves. I'm not going to be here forever. You be a light unto yourselves. And part of that is being a light to others. We must set an example. You know, I think we are all very fortunate to have been touched by the light of Buddha's wisdom. And so this is why I say, it is our duty as bodhisattvas to help all beings and to set an example to everyone on how we can come together, how we can be more understanding of each other, we can be more generous, perseverant, diligent, patient, and more clear. So I just wanted to plant the idea of Ohigan and how fitting it is with us embarking on this week that we have this wonderful image of balance and the paramitas helping us find our way. You know, I think that this is a most important time for us to come together in our Zen practice and for our community to share each other's concerns, our insights, our encouragement regarding where we are in our efforts to cultivate balance and help us navigate these times. So let's ask ourselves this week, how are we going to show up during these times? In the absence of a moral center and national leadership, during these challenging times, how can all of us show up and help be this moral center? Where we lack a moral center, it is up to us to be that moral center. Remember the Buddha, we must be the light to help us to take care of this moment. This week, let us practice wholeheartedly and listen deeply to each other's voices. Let's ask not just what we can do, but how can we be and lead by example to help all beings. This week, let's renew our efforts to pull together. The world needs us to show up and be fully present. I look forward to practicing together and listening to each other. So I just want to close my Dharma talk there. I want to talk about some logistics also. I want to kind of welcome you in terms of making you comfortable with what lies ahead in our schedule, what resources we have, and certainly one thing I would say is if you have any questions, let me just start with that. We are going to use the chat feature of Zoom to allow people to ask questions. And we have two of our helpers, our moderators, that will help us make sure that those questions get addressed. But I just wanted to make you aware that if you want to ask any questions about what I just said, if you want to ask any questions about logistics, please make a note in the chat box. You can also raise your hand and someone may see you. But chat box is more effective, but we'll open it up after my comments are finished. And if anybody has something they want to bring up, I will probably open it up to anybody speaking forward. Okay, so let me just say a few things. Everyone should have gotten the register should have gotten an email. That has the retreat guide in it. It shows our full schedule. It's many pages. It's quite amazing. It shows when we're doing Zazen. It shows when the daily Dharma talks are. Dokusan will be offered. At the top of the schedule, you'll see a link to go to register to talk with the teacher if you would like to during this time. We're going to offer Dokusan until end of day Friday. There are 3 periods each day you'll see in the schedule. And the last period we'll offer is on Friday, because Saturday is when we'll have our conference. So by all means, I encourage you, if you would like to speak with a teacher about your practice or just about anything, I would encourage you to take advantage of this. Also, there's a couple of other attachments. There's an STO communication agreement. There is a Zoom live meeting etiquette and features document. And these documents basically have suggestions on how we can most effectively work together during these retreats and this retreat. I think it's been mentioned already, we are going to have 4 host sites throughout the course of this week. Tonight and tomorrow we'll be at Mission Mountain Zen in Northwest Montana. On Thursday we'll be in Halifax at the Atlantic Soto Zen Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia. On Friday we'll be at the Falmouth Soto Zen Center in Falmouth, Massachusetts. And then on Saturday and Sunday we'll be at our training center at the Atlanta Soto Zen Center in Atlanta. So there's also a schedule about our conference on Saturday. It's going to be in the middle of the day. We'll do Zazen in the beginning, then the conference, and then at the end of the day we'll come back to more Zazen. Everyone is welcome to join the conference if you would like. We're going to do some general discussions in the morning, and I think you might find them all interesting as to the issues that we're dealing with, questions we may have, what we're doing, and everyone is welcome to join and offer your perspective. And then on Sunday, before noon, we will have a closing ceremony after Zazen, and we'll have a panel discussion that will close the retreat. All right, and so what I wanted to say is that the most important thing for you to know, and this is in this front sheet of your schedule, this is probably the best thing for you to have this sheet handy, but there are phone numbers and there are email numbers for how to get a hold of Cosette's, Randy Earl, and Fusat's, April, and Jessup. And so these are our Zoom facilitators. There are Zoom gurus. They have done amazing work, and so we're very thankful that they are here with us. They will be helping us transition from one thing to another, from Dharma talks to going to lunch, from morning zazen to Dharma talks, and so they'll help us kind of make that transition smoothly. So there's also a daily chant book that has all the chants that we'll do, part of your handout. So make sure you have that handy so you can join us in the morning service in particular. So those are some of the things that I wanted to mention from the standpoint of kind of getting our retreat off to a good start, and also just logistics. What else should we be talking about? Fusats and Kosets, anything from you guys? And also, are there any questions?
No, it's kind of intimidating, folks. We have so many people on, but don't be shy. I think we'll get more comfortable as the week moves along. But I'm Fusatsu April and Randy Kosets. Can you raise your hand too so people can see who you are? We're your two SMEs. Or again, please do not hesitate to outreach to us anytime during the conference, during the chat, call, email us. We have all of our devices ready to be of service to you. We're here to serve you this week, to make this experience as easy as possible. And also, we'll be signing on 30 minutes ahead of the start time in the morning. So if you have any questions, technical questions about Zoku-san, sign up. Please do not hesitate to jump on early. We'll be here. Come have tea with us in the morning if you'd like to get situated. Any questions that you would want us to transition to our senior teachers to be addressed throughout the day, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're here for you this week, and it's a pleasure. We serve you, and it's a part of practice as well. Let me hand it to Cosette so you can actually hear what he sounds like today.
Okay, yes, thank you, Fusats. Yes, I just want to reiterate everything that Fusats just said. We are monitoring email. We've got the phone forwarding set up to ring to our lines. When you see us look off to the side, we're checking those things. We've already answered a few queries on email for people. That's what we're here for, just to facilitate the conference and make it as smooth as possible for everyone.
Very good. Let me just say a couple other things. Keep in mind that this retreat it's unlike any other that we've tried to host. We are basically spreading across 5 time zones, from the Atlantic time zone all the way to the Pacific. And so if you find that some of the meal times or the break times are a little unusual, this is why, and so our meals aren't quite spread out like you might see if we were all in one time zone. But anyway, just know that that's the case, and accommodate your dietary requirements as you need to. But anyway, it's quite interesting to try to schedule something with one schedule that fits 5 different time zone at the same time. So are there does anyone want to make any comment? I think we have time if anybody would like to if anyone does and would just like to take their microphones off mute, would be happy to hear from any of you and see what comments or questions you might have.
One other statement, and this is the Mukyo. I'm stealing this from you when we were doing Zazen Kai. We have some Tenzos and people on from our other sanghas that are well versed in self-care during the conference, about bringing your water, making sure you're hydrated. If you need to get up, stretch and move during the walk sessions, please feel free to do that. This may be the first time that people are extended sitting, may not, but please make sure you're taking care of yourself throughout the conference. If you need a bio break, please don't, burst your bladder. But again, protein, hydration, movement, vitamin D. So Mukyo, anything else you want to add there? I'm stealing your thunder there. So please comment on that. This is about self-care as well.
You said it all. Thank you. Thank you, Satsu.
You know, Fusatsu, I also know that we do have a couple, those two documents that I mentioned. I don't have them in front of me, but the documents regarding communication agreement, that one in particular, I would encourage everybody to look at. I think it has some really good ideas about how to kind of let go of whatever guard you might have had in the past around public speaking. And because, you know, we're all friends, right? And, you know, it's like when you, I want to really encourage people to interact with each other as much as possible as we have time, primarily after Dharma talks, and bring up things. And it's not necessary for us to have a really well thought out idea that we want to bring up. You know, let's all trust that we are all very capable of communicating more deeply, and we don't. And so this is very important that we use this opportunity to say what we want to say and not hold back. And especially those of us who may be more reticent to say anything, I would encourage you to make comments, offer suggestions when you have the opportunity.
Let me open it up again. Does anyone have any questions about logistics, or just quickly, any questions? Again, just if you don't want to speak it out, just type it, email it, but any initial questions?
Would you like us to strike the Han when our center is leading or timing the sittings? First thing in the morning, Abbott Ellis, and I know, is online. Would you like us to strike the Han leading up to the beginning of the first Zen sitting, the way we would do if it was a face-to-face retreat?
Very good. Great question. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tishin. We were just talking about that, Kushin and I here, and we're going to use the clackers because we're not going to use the Han that's outside, but we are going to use the clackers to be the Han in the Zendo. And so as people come into the Zendo before the appointed start time, you'll hear clackers. And this just lets you know that we are welcoming everyone to come into the Zendo, and the faster the clackers go, the quicker it will be the sooner it will be before we begin. And so that's what we're going to do, Kushin. So if that works for you, I would invite you to do the same.
And if
Tishin, you might want to explain. I mean, it's not critical here, but we go through 3 roll downs on the clackers or the Han, and the third roll down means that the guiding priest at the temple has come in and done their vows and gone to their seat. That's when the meditation actually begins. So I don't think everybody needs to understand that exactly, but that's what Zenku was saying. It just lets you know that it's like timing, you know, in a medieval monastery. Everybody could hear this, and they knew it's time to get your rear end into the Zendo.
I would just ask those who are using, you know, gongs, clackers, that kind of signaling, to step back a little from the microphone when you do that, because especially for those wearing earpieces or headsets, that could be a little bit harsh. So please step back from the microphone when you do that.
Good.
And since
I'm sorry. I have a question about um, when we're sitting and using, do we use the camera on our computer? Should we set the computer so that it shows us? So we're in the picture as we sit, or does it matter?
Yeah, let me answer that. I find it very supportive if you can have your camera set so that we can see you. You know, it's not necessary for you to stare at the screen, you know, but some people do that, and it's okay. But at least this way, we have a sense that everybody, we can see on our screen many of each other, and we can see that people are sitting and making an effort. And just as a joke, you know, if we don't see anybody there, we don't know if you went back, took a nap or what. I'm just a joke, but it's very encouraging to see all of us sitting on the Zoom screen, I think.
And just as a quick introduction to, some folks may not be familiar with our senior teachers, so I would ask that our senior teachers, if you just take a moment to introduce yourself, and you will see our senior teachers that are rolled up right now, but they're also the ones that have been sponsoring. So you all probably know who Zenku is by now, Sensei Zenku. He's just spoke. So can I ask Sensei Tashin, Sensei Sengaku, and Sensei Roshi Elliston to just do a brief introduction so folks that may not know who you are can actually put a name with a face. And you'll be seeing, these are our teachers that you'll be having Dokusan with, and there will be, a lot of them will be doing our Dharma talks, as well as wove in a lot of our disciples, a lot of our Sangha members. You'll get to see a lot of faces and hear a lot of voices this week. So, but I would ask if we could have our senior teachers do just a brief, quick introduction, and then we'll open it up for any additional questions.
Welcome to everybody. Traditionally, when we have a retreat, when you come in the morning, it's silent, there's no speaking, so as to not disturb other people who are already starting their zazen. So we'll try as much as possible to do that. It's a little more difficult with Zoom because new people may be joining. The moderators may have to speak, but the rest of us will try to observe silence as we come in the morning and begin our zazen. There's, then once we go through our zazen and we begin the morning service, following that is traditionally when there's a bit more communication. So if it seems very quiet and antisocial, it's simply our attempts not to interfere with each other's zazen practice. And I'm in the Atlantic time zone, so that's why you're stretched one more hour with your schedule, as Zenku-san mentioned.
And this is Sensei Tashin Smith that's speaking.
Sangak Dan Jocelyn. I'm the practice leader and teacher at the Falmouth Soto Zen Sangha in Falmouth, Massachusetts on Cape Cod. Our Sangha is going to be facilitating on Friday. Got 4 or 5 members of the Sangha here tonight, and we simply look forward to being a part of this extensive demonstration of the capabilities of the Silent Thunder Order. So I too welcome everyone and very much am looking forward to the week.
Gotcha.
I'm Tayun. It was interesting just a few moments ago when Zenku is talking. I'm facing the laptop. I'm facing east, looking at the laptop. And so the sun was coming in over my right shoulder, setting in the west. And the sun coming into Zenku's Zendo was also on the screen, was coming from the upper right. And so I had to do a visualization and say, well, actually, he's facing this way in Montana, so the camera's picking up this way, and that's why the sun looks like it's coming in from the left, and so forth. So this, I think our experience online is an example of the relativity of space-time. Here we are all in different time zones, but we're speaking together in the same time, quote unquote. And at that moment, it seemed like space-time had come into kind of singularity of unity of some kind, because it looked like he was sitting right here in front of me with the light in the same direction. It looked like we were facing each other, and I was listening to Zenku talk, and it all seemed very harmonious. So I think we're, what would Dogen do? What would Buddha do with a digital revolution? I think we're doing our best. We're doing what we can do. And to me, it's quite fascinating. I think it's a demonstration of many of the teachings of Buddhism. The COVID virus and all of that has just forced a lot of people to face some of the truths of Buddhism, of impermanence, imperfection, insubstantiality, and pushed us into self-isolation, social distancing. These are all common practices in Zen. It's nothing new for us. And so I welcome this opportunity for us to have this unusual experimental annual retreat and conference. And I look forward to watching as things develop through the week.
Thank you, Roshi.
Tomorrow morning, we'll have a discussion that to me is important. I'm practice leader in South Atlanta. We're a small group. We've been trying to figure out how to operate without our usual access to a Zendo in a socially distanced kind of way. And so I'm very interested in hearing what our other practice groups are doing. Not only, I'd like to hear what's doing well, but I'd like also to hear what just has not worked, even though you thought it was the greatest thing since sliced crack. Because that will help us down here better orient ourselves to the needs of our community. So please join in the morning and share your problems and your successes.
Yep, and I have to just say this because we have John Mitchell's son on with the newest member of our Sangha. So we're so very happy to see John, and let me make this up so everybody can see. Oh, yes, I couldn't. She's already got her hands together. Look at that. That's so cute.
I got pretty lucky for this session. I won't be able to have such peace for most of them, but I'm glad to be here right now.
Welcome, both of you.
Very sweet. Very sweet. Very good. Fusats, if there aren't any other questions, we might want to take just a short break. We'll begin Zazen at the hour, right, in about 8 minutes. So give everybody a little chance to take a break, and then we'll come back for some Zazen.
Sounds good.
And let's close with the Dharma closing verse. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions
Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them.
Dharma
Dharma
gates
gates
are
are
boundless.
boundless.
I vow
I
to enter
vow to
them.
enter them.
Buddha
Buddha
way
way
is
is
unsurpassable.
unsurpassable.
I
I
vow
vow
to
to
realize
realize
beings are
beings
numberless.
are numberless.
I vow
I
to free them.
vow to free them.
Delusions are
Illusions are
inexhaustible.
inexhaustible.
I vow
I
to
vow
end
to
them.
end
Dharma
them.
gates are
Dharma
boundless.
gates are
I
boundless.
vow to
I
enter them.
vow to
The
enter
Buddha
them.
way is
The Buddha way
unsurpassable.
is
I
unsurpassable.
vow to
I
realize
vow to
beings
realize
are numberless.
beings
I
are
vow
numberless.
to
I
free them.
vow to free them.
Delusions are inexhaustible.
Illusions are
I
inexhaustible.
vow to end
I
them.
vow
Dharma
to end
gates are
them.
boundless.
Dharma
I
gates are
vow to enter them.
boundless.
The
I
Buddha way
vow
is
to enter
unsurpassable.
them. Buddha way is unsurpassable.
Passable.
I vow to realize
You
it.
realize it.
All right, Kasho, everyone. We'll see you in just
Show.
about 5 minutes.